2 Samuel chapter 23. These are the last words of David, the oracle of David son of Jesse, the oracle of the man whom God exalted, the anointed of the God of Jacob, the singer of the songs of Israel. The Spirit of the Lord speaks through me, his word is on my tongue. The God of Israel has spoken, the rock of Israel has said to me, when one rules people in justice, ruling in the fear of God, he dawns on them like the morning light, like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning, making grass sprout from the ground after the rain. Yes, is not my family like this before God? He has made with me an eternal covenant, orderly and secure. Will he not complete my salvation and fulfill my every desire? But godless men are like thorns that are thrown away. They cannot be held with one's hand. No one wishes to touch them, but are uprooted with iron and the shaft of a spear, and they are burned in the fire. David's valiant warriors. These are the names of the warriors who were with David. The first of the three was Ishmael, a Hakamonite who wielded his spear against 800 whom he slew in a single encounter. Next was Eleazar son of Dodo, son of Ahohi, who was with David when he challenged the Philistines who were gathered there for battle. When he saw the retreat of the Israelites, he fought and struck down the Philistines until his hand grew tight from holding the sword without pause. The Lord brought about a great victory that day. The others returned after him, but only to strip the slain. Next was Shammah son of Agi the Hararite. The Philistines gathered together at Lehi, where there was a plot of ground planted with lentils, and the men fled from the Philistines. But Shammah stood in the middle of the plot to defend it and slew the Philistines, and the Lord brought about a great victory. At about harvest time, 3 of the 30 went down to David at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. David was in the stronghold while the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Who will give me water to drink from the well by the gate of Bethlehem?" At this the three warriors broke through the Philistine camp, drew water after the well by the gate of Bethlehem and brought it to David. But David refused to drink of it and poured it out as an offering to the Lord. He said, "By no means should I do this. Shall I drink the blood of the men who risked their lives?" Therefore he refused to drink it. These were the deeds of the three warriors. Abishai, brother of Joab, son of Zeruiah, was chief of the 30. He wielded his spear against 300 men and slew them, winning a name beside the three. Though he was popular of the 30 and became their commander, he was not equal to the three. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a warrior of Kabzeel, was a man of great achievements who killed the 2 sons of Ariel of Moab. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and slew a lion. He slew a huge Egyptian who held a spear. Benaiah went against him with a staff, snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, did these things and won a name beside the three warriors. He was popular among the 30, but was not equal to the three. David put him in command of his bodyguard. Asahel, brother of Joab, was one of the 30. Elhanan, son of Dodo of Bethlehem, Shammah of Harod, Elika of Harod, Elest of Paltite, Hira, son of Ikesh of Tekoa, Abiezer of Anathoth, Mebunai the Hushathite, Zalman the Ahohite, Maharai of Netopaz, Helab, son of Bana of Netophah, Ittai, son of Ribai of Gibeah of the Benjaminites, Benaiah of Pirathon, Hidai of the Wadis of Gaish, Abialbon the Abathite, Asmavez of Bahuri, Eliab of Shalbon, sons of Jashin, Jonathan son of Shammah the Hararite, Ahiam son of Shara the Hararite, Eliphilet son of Ahashbai of Makkah, Eliam son of Ahithophel of Gilo, Hezro of Carmel, Parai the Abite, Igal son of Nathan of Zoba, Bani the Gadite, Zelek the Ammonite, Nahariah of Beeros, the Amabir of Joab, son of Zeruiah, Ira the Hithrite, Gareb the Hithrite, Uriah the Hittite, 37 in all. 2 Samuel chapter 24, the census and the plague. Again the anger of the Lord blazed out against Israel. So he let David harm them in this way, saying, Go and count the people of Israel and Judah. The king said to Joab and the commanders of the army who were with him, Go through all the tribes of Israel from Dan to Beersheba and count the people, that I may know how many they are. Joab told the king, May the Lord your God multiply the people 100 times, and may the Lord the king see this blessing. But why does my lord the king want to take a census? But the king's word prevailed, so that Joab and the commanders of the army went out from the king's presence in order to count the people of Israel. They crossed the Jordan and started with Arior, the city in the middle of the valley, and went on toward Gad and to Jazer. Then they proceeded to Gilead and to Kadesh in the land of the Hittites. Then they went to Dan, and from Dan to Sidon, and arrived at the fortress of Tyre and the cities of the Hivites and the Canaanites. They went out through the Negeb of Judah at Beersheba, and after having gone through all the land, returned to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. Joab gave the total count of the people to the king, 800,000 sword-wielding warriors in Israel, and 500,000 men in Judah. But after he had the people counted, David felt remorse and said to the Lord, I have sinned greatly in what I have done, but now, O Lord, I ask you to forgive my sin, for I have acted foolishly. The following day, before David awoke, the Lord's word had come to the prophet Gad, David's seer. Go and give David this message. The Lord says this, I offer you 3 things, and I will let one of them befall you according to your own choice. So Gad went to David and asked him, Do you want 3 years of famine in your land, or do you want to be pursued for 3 months by your foes while you flee from them? Or do you want 3 days pestilence in your land? Now think and decide what answer I shall give him who sent me. David answered Gad, I am greatly troubled. Let me fall into the hands of the Lord, whose mercy is abundant, but let me not fall into the hands of men. So the Lord sent a pestilence on Israel from morning until the appointed time, causing the death of 70,000 from Dan to Beersheba. When the angel stretched forth his hand toward Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord would punish no more, and said to the angel who was causing destruction among the people, It is enough, hold back your hand. The angel of the Lord was already at the threshing floor of Araunah, the Jebusite. When David saw the angel striking the people, he spoke to the Lord and said, I alone have sinned, and I alone have acted wickedly. But these are only the sheep. What have they done? Let your hand strike me and my father's family. Gad went to David that day and said to him, Go set up an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. So David went up for the Lord's command made through Gad. When Araunah saw the king and his officials coming toward him, he went forward, paid homage to the king with his face to the ground, and said, Why has my lord the king come to his servant? David answered, I will buy your threshing floor in order to build an altar to the Lord, so that the plague may end among the people. Then Araunah said to David, "Let my lord the king take the threshing floor and offer the sacrifice that seems good to him. Here you have my oxen for the burnt offering, the threshing sledges and the oxen's yokes for the wood. All this, O king, Araunah gives to the king. May the Lord your God hear you." But the king said to Araunah, "No, I will pay you for all these, for I will not offer to the Lord my God a sacrifice that cost me nothing." So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. David built there an altar to the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So the Lord had mercy on the land, and the plague ended in Israel. Psalm 132. Make a dwelling for the Lord. Remember David, O Lord, and all the hardships he endured, how he swore an oath to the Lord, to the Mighty One of Jacob. "I will not enter my house, nor get into the comfort of my bed. I will give no sleep to my eyes, no slumber to my eyelids, until I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling for the Mighty One of Jacob." We heard of his ark in Ephrathah, we found it in the fields of Jaar. Let us go to where he dwells and worship at his footstool. Arise, O Lord, and come to your place of rest, you and the ark of your might. May your priests be arrayed in righteousness, may your faithful ones shout in gladness. For the sake of your servant David, do not turn away the face of your anointed. The Lord swore to David a promise, and he will remain true to it. "I promise that the son of yours I will set upon the throne. If your sons keep my covenant and the decrees I have taught them, their sons too will sit forever upon your throne. For the Lord has chosen Zion, he has decided for his dwelling. This is my resting place forever. Here I will dwell, for that is my desire. I will richly bless her with provisions, and the poor will be satisfied. I will clothe the priest with glory, and the faithful will sing in gladness. From here a stock of David shall bud forth. Here shall shine forever the lamp of my anointed. His enemies I will clothe in shame, but upon his head a crown shall shine." John chapter 6, verse 1 to 21. The multiplication of the loaves. After this, Jesus went to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is called the Sea of Tiberias, and large crowds followed him because of the miraculous signs they saw when he healed the sick. So he went up the hillside and sat there with his disciples. Now the Passover feast of the Jews was at hand. Then lifting up his eyes, Jesus saw the crowds that were coming to him, and said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He said this to test Philip, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii would not buy enough bread for each of them to have a piece. Then one of the disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to Jesus, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what good are these for so many?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." There was plenty of grass there, so the people, about 5,000 men, sat down. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were seated. He did the same with the fish and gave them as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten enough, he told his disciples, "Gather up the pieces left over, that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 large baskets with pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. When the people saw this sign that Jesus had just performed, they said, "This is really the prophet, he who is to come into the world." Jesus realized that they were about to come and take him by force and make him king, so he drew to the hills by himself. Jesus walks on the water. When evening came, the disciples went down to the shore of the sea. They got into a boat to make for Capharnaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them, but the sea was getting rough because a strong wind was blowing. They had rowed about 5 or 6 kilometers when they saw Jesus walking on the sea, and he was drawing near to the boat. They were frightened, but he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." They were glad to take him into the boat. Immediately the boat was at the shore to which they were going.